All right, let's talk about quality of your content. You ready? Hey there, Enterprisers, what's good? It's Jason Ligo here again, and in this video, I want to talk to you about how to improve the quality of your content. That's right, how to improve the quality of your content, right? Now, if you've been on my channel for any time, you know how important it is to be a strong and a good content marketer. The reality is, if you're consuming content, you're probably on the way to producing some good content too, or at least you should be able to recognize good content. However, it never fails. Once you move from consuming to doing, as always, there can be a little bit of a lapse in making sure that things line up properly. Or maybe you might take a step back or down in the quality of your content simply because now you're trying to produce it rather than consume it, and sometimes that'll keep you from staying fresh and abreast of what's new and what's trending and that kind of thing. So without further ado, let me just give you a couple of practical reminders on how to make sure that your quality of your content is always going to be good. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about aesthetics. Aesthetics matter, okay? That's not what this video is. So things like making sure you have a good strong title and a good strong thumbnail, visibility, things like that. That's important, okay? But that's not the purpose here. I want to talk to you about kind of more concepts regarding how your quality is put out there and what to have in mind when you're putting out your content marketing, right? So let's go ahead and dive right in. Here are 3 simple ways to improve the quality of your content, and I think it's very relevant for this year, this day and time. Let's get right into it. Number 1, leverage SMEs. Leverage SMEs. Now, you might ask, what's an SME? Glad you asked. Here's what it stands for. Subject matter expert, right? Subject matter expert. And this is one of those things where you definitely want to leverage those who have some expertise in any particular subject matter, especially the ones that are closely related to you and your niche, your sphere, your marketplace, whatever you want to call it. Whatever it is that you're doing, whatever your audience craves, certainly there's going to be some subsets of that information, related there too. And you want to find the people who have expertise in this market. So what might this look like? Again, I'm also glad you asked that question. In my case, I like to teach things like online marketing, online entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship in general. And so because of that, it might make sense to line up a couple experts to talk to you about things like organic growth using social media, or perhaps email marketing, or funnel building, or maybe how to close the sale in a high ticket scenario. Does that make sense? Finding experts who are absolute legends in their particular field, and then to have them on and interview them, it's really easy content to create. And oftentimes, depending on how long that interview is or that collaboration is, you can break it up to where it actually manifests itself into several pieces of content. I've done this numerous times, and sometimes what happens is you are the subject matter expert. Before long, reciprocation takes place, law of attraction, and reaping what you sow. It happens for you as well. But one for sure way to keep your content fresh and of high quality is to bring in experts. And I want you to really grasp the power of that, because oftentimes what this does is really, it's multifaceted in its benefits. Number 1, it's content that is easy to create because you're actually not creating it. If you think about it, sure, you're creating it by putting it together, but someone else is doing the talking, someone else is doing the teaching, someone else with their own expertise. And what happens is when this is done properly, oftentimes you and your subject matter expert, both of you now have some organic growth because you have both audiences listening, right? You have your audience listening to him, his audience is going to come along with him as you interview him and help him out and talk to him and pick his brain, or her, whatever the case is. You understand what I'm saying? There really are multiple benefits to this type of situation. If you're at a place where you're like, man, I just can't think of any more fresh new content, now might be a great time to line up a subject matter expert. And a lot of the times this can be very profitable because many times it turns into things like joint venture agreements, right? It turns into joint collaborations. It turns into products that you just created because of you two coming together. It really, really is exciting. So one thing that you want to make sure that you do, leverage SMEs. Find yourself some subject matter experts, get them in, and put them to work. Number 2, relatable equals revenue. Okay, relatable equals revenue. I think this speaks for itself. Ultimately, you want to make sure that you're relatable, right? Being relatable is what sells, not necessarily being the expert, although you should have some expertise. But the way that you come across to your audience, the way that you show yourself is of utmost importance. If your people can't relate to you, right, if they can't connect with you on a deeper or personal level, then there really is not going to be a whole lot of revenue there. And certainly not a lot of relationship either, which we also know fuels revenue and it actually can boost it in many different ways. So become relatable. Now, how might you be relatable? It's actually pretty simple. One of the easiest ways to be relatable is to put yourself in your customer's shoes and vice versa. Oftentimes this is where things like storytelling really takes the cake, or being able to show live examples. If you're teaching something, you should be able to show it, right? You should be able to show its benefits to you. This is also why when it comes to things like marketing and selling, specifically like affiliate marketing, I believe in what's called moral authority. It's very hard for me to sell a product that I don't believe in, and it's very hard to believe in something I've not experienced. Does that make sense? So for those of you who are wanting to do affiliate marketing in this example, if you just go onto any network and you find a product and start promoting it, you may or may not see some success, right? However, if you purchase it and consume it yourself and go through the material and it benefits you, it helps you out either mentally or financially or what have you, now you've got something real. Right? Now you have something real that you can talk about because it's been real to you. It is something that you've experienced, and now you have moral authority. You're not talking about something that's now just theory or conjecture. You're talking about something that is pretty much a cold, hard fact as far as you're concerned. So be relatable, right? Make sure that you're telling your story. One thing a lot of people don't like to do is show income, and I get it. You can get a lot of trouble, plus it's very uncomfortable. But sometimes that's where it makes a whole lot of sense to do, right? I mean, if you look in some of my marketing material for the course that I sell and that I created and stuff that I do, I mean, I do show some screenshots, right? Now you got to be careful and make sure that you say things like you're not promising results, and they'll vary because everyone's different and efforts are different, that kind of thing. You don't want to make guarantees. You got to stay compliant and you got to stay safe with the guys in suits, but you get the idea. One thing that makes it easy for people to buy from me is because they know that I'm doing it, right? I'm not just showing something or recommending something that I don't do, right? Does that make sense? And so when and this comes with anything. Again, you want to get to where you're a trusted advisor, making a strong recommendation, and people will value that and they'll purchase that, as opposed to just simply saying, hey, buy this, right? Relatable equals revenue. Find a way to relate to your customer. This is another reason why it's important to show behind the scenes stuff on Facebook. Don't just get in the selling mode. Don't, every photo that you post of yourself or every video of yourself shouldn't be the most manicured thing, right? Sure, you can show your fancy background, studio, what have you, but sometimes it's nice to see yourself in your regular environment. Ladies, I know you don't like to, right? But show a story where you don't have the makeup on. Show a story where your hair is still just up in a bun and you're just trying to get through the day. Guys, show a picture, not necessarily in your suit or in your Lamborghini, but if you rising out of bed and just sipping your coffee. Things like that will go a long way with your customer because it shows them that you're no better and you're no different. Relatable equals revenue. Number 3, and finally, simple steps sell most. Simple steps sell most, all right? Or in many cases, you could even say they sell the best, right? Simplicity is where it's at. I cannot emphasize this enough, and I certainly can't overemphasize it, right? It helps to be simple. Don't be intricate. Don't be overly technical. One of the biggest mistakes that I see, and this always will be the case throughout history with those who are, trying to sell something, those who are in the expert business or what have you, it's very easy to use technical jargon. Don't do that, right? If you do that, while it seems counterintuitive, I'm telling you what, this really is going to hurt you rather than if you keep things simple, okay? I can promise you that this is always the case. Again, you want to keep it simple, right? This goes with all things. Explain things in simple terms. Don't make the mistake of using technical big words just because you think that they're impressive because you know about them. If you're trying to gain a new customer, odds are they don't know what you're talking about, at least not to that extent, right? For example, instead of telling them to log into their dashboard of their funnel building software and identifying all HTML and deselect all images that are non-compliant, rather than say that, simply say, go in and click here. Does that make sense? I know that's an oversimplification, but I hope you get the idea. Do not tell people the fanciest things. You're just going to confuse them. If you're talking to someone and you see their eyes glaze over, or you're not getting the response that you want, or no one's commenting, then you've probably committed this heinous crime, right? Do not do this. Speak simple. Tell people where to go, tell people what to click on, tell people what to do in simple format, simple steps, 1, 2, 3, and then watch them do it. right? And then give them the help. And then you can explain why it works later on as it continues to work. But I promise you, if you get to where you are talking about some crazy things only because it seems, makes you credible, it doesn't. Keep things simple. Tell people to do this because it'll do that, right? Tell people to do this. And sometimes you just have to tell people to trust you. As a coach and person in the expert business, you might just say, listen, go ahead and do this and trust me, right? This is one of those times. I'm telling you, be simple. Trust me when I tell you this. Keep things simple and watch your sales take off. There you have it, my friends. It's quick and dirty as per usual. I hope this was helpful to you. Let me know which one of these stood out. And make sure you give me a subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss out on any more hot new content that I got coming down the pipe just for you. This is Jason Ligo with Always Enterprise. I'll see you next time. Take care.